Over the last year, one of the most controversial things Marvel Comics has done is having diversity in its comic book lineup. The internet being the way is, of course, hated and screamed SJW and agenda. Also saying that the comics were bad without giving any real reasons for them. One problem people did have was they were asking, why did these new characters have to take over the already established characters' titles? Why don't they have their own new titles and be something completely different? Well, that's easy enough to answer. Because even though people say they want new characters and stories, when said new characters have their own original series, they always bomb. The public just doesn't buy them. By having characters take over briefly the more established characters' role, readers are more willing to give that character a chance. That's just how it is. Anywho, earlier this year, Marvel announced Generations and Legacy. Legacy will bring back the original characters into their original roles that the readers and commenters say that they want them to. But the new diverse characters will still be around in their own books. So it's a win-win. Before that, however, Marvel will be releasing a series of one-shots where the new generation of heroes will interact with the previous generation's namesakes. Think of it not so much as a passing of the torch, but a way to get the new generation over. The one-shots are The Strongest, Bruce Banner and Amadeus Cho, The Phoenix, Jean Grey and Jean Grey, The Best, Logan and Laura, The Mighty, The Unworthy Thor and The Mighty Thor, The Spiders, Peter Parker as a kid again, and Miles Morales, The Bravest, Captain Marvel and Carol Danvers, The Americas, Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson, The Marvels, Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers and Kamala Khan, The Archers, Clint Barton and Kate Bishop, and The Iron, Tony Stark and Riri aka Ironheart. 4 one-shots have been released so far, so I'll take a quick look at them. Before I begin, the concept of these one-shots is that the younger characters are transported to the past so they can interact with their previous namesakes. First up, Thor. The Jane Thor is transported and meets a young Thor who still hasn't been able to lift up his hammer. They run into a X-Men villain who could possibly be their greatest villain of all time, and wackiness ensues. The art is good like the rest of the run, and it was fun to see how Jane dealt with a younger, more reckless Thor. Another plus is seeing Thor riding a flying goat. My only real problem with this, however, is the X-Men villain that was in here, his reason was pointless. He didn't need to be there. Why not just pull another villain from Norse mythology and just use them as a one-off villain? A WTF moment happens at the very end of the book where we see Odin making out with a certain X-Men character.
What?
In the Wolverine one-shot, this one sees Laura, formerly X-23 and now the new Wolverine, transported to Japan, and she and Logan need to rescue his adopted daughter, Akiko, from undead ninjas. They both work well together. A side note, those mutton chops on Logan's face, yeesh. Something I really liked was on page 21 how the artist portrayed Wolverines Senses. It reminded me of how artists portray Daredevil's radar sense. Another well-known X-Men villain appears in this one-shot, but then again, he's primarily a Wolverine villain, so I did also like how Laura took out this villain. Another side note, seriously, Wolverine, those sideburns are out of control. This is probably the best of the first batch of the one-shots. It was fun and had a very bittersweet ending, especially when you realize that Wolverine probably figured out who Laura was way earlier. It was also good to see just how far Laura's come since her original appearance. Next up, Phoenix. Time for backstory. The young version of Jean Grey is one plucked from the past along with the other teenage X-Men by our current continuity's Beast, as a way to snap grown-up Scott Summers from the downward slide that he was going. The young X-Men stay in our timeline, thus creating another alternate timeline.
My brain hurts!
In a way, The new Jean is transported to a beach where she meets her counterpart, the Jean Grey Phoenix version. The older Jean continues to dodge the younger Jean's questions and instead takes her out to dinner, dancing, and a fight with Galactus and Terex. Initially, I thought this was going to be my least favorite of the one-shots. Initially, when the young Jean arrived in the current Marvel Universe, I liked her, but then there was an overimportance put on her. I think maybe you can blame the particular writer at the time, Brian Michael Bendis, on that. Also, her personality became unlikable. See the outing Bobby Drake Iceman for an example. And then she just got stuck in a rut. After reading this though, I think it's actually redeemed the character for me. This issue shows the young Jean questioning her future and having her mature in order to chart her own course so that she won't make the same mistakes that the other made. Heck, now I like her character to the point that I'm gonna start reading her current series. And finally, there's the Hulk. The issue begins with the Amadeus Cho Totally Awesome Hulk leaping into the past. The army is blasting the Bruce Banner Hulk, and once they're dealt with, both Hulks start punching each other. Just as with the Wolverine and Thor stories, this one takes place before Bruce originally met Amadeus. Once they get tired of punching each other, both Bruce and Amadeus chat with each other, but that's broken up when the army awakens a giant lizard-ish monster with its explosions. It doesn't end well. The issue ends with Bruce giving Amadeus some really bad advice that he unfortunately will take to heart. What I really liked about this group of one-shots is, with the exception of one, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it, they didn't fall into the trope of two heroes first fighting each other and then teaming up. These are characters from a superhero universe where time travel and dimension hopping happens a lot, so when they see someone that resembles them, isn't acting weird, and they say they're from somewhere else, yeah, the situation should roll over them easily. That being said, this being the Marvel Universe and having time travel being part of the story, I know right off the bat that this won't have any effect on the current Marvel timeline. When it comes to the original namesakes anyway. All this will do is create an alternate timeline, which makes it frustrating when at the end of each issue, the new character tries to impart some information that could help the original out later in life. This is a splintered timeline, it doesn't matter. Pointless. I do recommend this. I think these books were made as a way to satiate the negative feelings that people have with these new characters taking over, albeit briefly in most cases, of an icon's identity. We get to see both of the characters' personalities on display and how they interact with each other. Fans of the new characters get to enjoy the new characters and then see how the original namesakes were in the past. It could make them interested in those characters, and they could also then go out and buy trades and back issues of those characters. As for the longtime readers, they can judge the new characters fairly and not jump up and say, SJW, agenda, diversity. So far, we're off to a good start. Hopefully the rest of the books will be as good or even better. If you like this review, then please subscribe, share the video, and until next time, venture on.